Welcome to my no bullshit guide on how to build an aesthetic body. That today in this video, I'm going to talk about the most important aspects of building the body you want and how to get that nice and clean look. And first, let's talk about the masculine and feminine energy, the masculine feminine energy and psychology of building the body, or like why we do the things we want to do, right? So when we look at a woman, our brain is thinking about mating and reproducing with her, just because of the she looks attractive. That's like the first sign. And usually, when we look at a girl, right, we always just look at the ass, the ass. But like as like a whole, her shape is more like an hourglass. So if you think, and the men's shape. So when if a girl looks at us and maybe they psychology, it doesn't matter. Like every girl on this planet will subconsciously think that this type of body is attractive. So for women, the V shape in a man, so like here, is way more is attractive subconsciously than like a fat dude, right? It's more flattering, the V shape for a man. But for us, we look at a woman and they always attractive woman and they have an hourglass shape. So like they're more round on the hips, right? So it's like a more around the butt area, and maybe that's why we like butt. And yeah, and then our brain hasn't evolved for like thousands of years, and that's like why like our brains are still the same brain than it was like thousands of years ago or more. And we're basically the same thing, but like just different. And like, oh shit, okay. And then it's like when we always look at them, and there's like a reason too, in a way, for women, because when they have that more round shape, the wider it is, the easier it could produce, like make it easier for them to just push out the baby. That's some random thing I know, huh? And then, when women, wait, and that's like basically the gist of it, right? So now that we know behind like the attraction between the masculine and feminine and why they like kind of just go together, opposites attract, right? Let's think about how we can build the body to be able to attract the women you want. And what we need is resistance training. So that'll either be like weight training, calisthenics, and those are like the two beasts in the fitness world: weight training, the gym, or calisthenics with like gymnastics and stuff. And those are really good stuff to do, and there's like a bunch of other things, but like it starts from these two. So calisthenics, we got calisthenics and the gym, and then everything else kind of stems from that. So like a tree, like the tree's roots, right? And then what I want you to do is just pick the one you prefer. Well, and that could be literally like anything though, but it has to be resistance training specifically. So pick either the gym or the calisthenics, and then your journey starts from there. And then after you pick the thing, that is the thing that is gonna you're gonna master it to like an insane degree, to the point where it's so easy to get the aesthetic body, right? And then also you want to focus on progressive overload while training, which is like the basic definition is just like adding more resistance as you go on. So just adding 1 pound every week or something. That's it's pretty slow, to be honest. Okay, now let's talk about the more aesthetic. So like the aesthetic muscle groups, yeah. Let's talk about the 5 most important muscle groups that are aesthetic to the eye, or to women specifically. Okay. So we got abs, shoulders, arms, the 4 arms too, and the neck, and then we have legs, back, and chest. So if I'm gonna take off my shirt now and just like we could judge that based on the thing. Okay. So we have first we're gonna talk about abs, right? Then look, you see abs are pretty like aesthetic and pretty much, yeah, actually the most aesthetic part of the body. You know, I like the abs. Like every time I flex in the mirror, I just look at the abs, right? And then, and from research, abs are actually the most sexiest part of the body, and according to women, and that's for us symbolizes. Okay, according to women, is actually a really sexy body part, right? And for us, like why we like abs, it kind of symbolizes the Greek gods. So, like Zeus, Poseidon, they all have these physiques, and that's why you got all these poses, right? Or like, and but for like me, it's like anime characters, even though that's like hella over exaggerated. But it's a nice thing to strive for. So like, anime characters' physiques are freaking goated. And plus the work they put in. Or like the anime characters, they put in a lot of work to get the physique they want. And that's what we have to do as well. Then here's like a quick tip, like focus more on the lower abs, as the upper part is already more developed, and this like fine tunes the physique. So let's say as a beginner you just do a full workout, right? Then you basically have like your whole body starts to become like a good shape. But then let's say, so I have a pretty good core, like upper part of the abs, right? But if I wanted to get a better physique, I have to work more on the lower abs. You know, kind of make it more like fine tunes it. It like gives it that proper shape. So like with the arms, if you guys only do bicep, but you never do forearms, it's gonna look weird. Like this is gonna be abnormally smaller than this. Like it almost makes you look like you got chicken arms. That's what I call it. So you have to find out which thing is gonna be. So every muscle you work, also look at the muscle you don't work on as much, and start doing more of those. Start doing more sets of those. That it will like make the physique more prominent, right? And it doesn't make it look weird. Like, you know, because people always bash on gymnasts for having chicken legs, right? And that's because it looks weird, right? And then next we have shoulders. Water. I got no water. God damn it. Okay. Gonna do this without no water. Next we have the shoulders, or the deltoids, right? And these, honestly, if you just focus on these, you could automatically get the V shape, the V taper, right? Like you don't even have to work on really anything else. If you focus only on the shoulders, you kind of you naturally get the V shape. And what I mean by the V shape, right? It's just, so you got the shoulders and it just comes down to here. So kind of draw, if you draw a triangle on me, bro, that was what you call the V shape. Like here. So like small waist, but big like upper body. This is like a more wide upper body. More. And an easy tip is to just work on the lateral part of the shoulder. So just a bunch of like these, really. Any motion that's like this, it'll work the lateral part and it'll give you more of a wider look. So just not just like shoulders. Specifically, you want to target the middle part of the shoulder. And that will give you a more wider look. I'm not gonna lie, when in the pump, you look freaking like sick. So if I probably got a pump right now, I'd probably be able to look pretty decent on my shoulders. And now let's talk about the arms, and which also including the forearms. And like with the abs, like I talked about earlier, you want to train the forearms because it'll fine tune it and just make it look not weird. So you go up there. So focus on, you got the arms, right? The bicep, and if you want to get more of a contraction, all you have to do is just really twist like this way, and you'll get more of a contraction in not the abs, the bicep. And if you do it this way, it works out that part of the bicep. Then forearms, like, come on. From here, I have a pretty small like look, and it looks weird, right? So just start working on. So you probably already do the bicep, like this whole area right here, but you probably don't want to do as much forearms. So what you want to do is just find a video, like find people who do forearm exercises, and you start doing more sets of those, and you start to get better as you go on. And usually, and usually the arms are very noticeable too, and always showing. And people will know you train because of this. So when you wear them like compression shirts or something, people will probably notice you got big arms. Okay? On my throat. Then, second to last, we have the neck. With this group, growing the neck will make you look more masculine, right? And not like a little boy or someone who is skinny. Okay. So we actually have some health benefits for training this neck. So once you start training the neck, you're making the joints in the neck more stronger. So it's a mobile joint system, thus needs strength to keep it safe and secure. And even like crude exercises can make a difference in the incidence and severity of a concussions. And like the arms/forearms, they are generally visible. Your neck is always generally visible, right? Unless you're wearing like a scarf in the winter time. But right now is not winter. So make sure you do the neck right there. Right now I'm trying to do the neck. Work it out more. Get bigger. Then moving on to the last thing is the legs, chest, and back. Why I put these last is, don't get me wrong, these are very important muscle groups to train, I just believe they're like just a little bit less important than the ones at the top, of course. But of course, you still want to train them, because if you don't, you're gonna look weird. I train these muscle groups every now and then, but you gotta hit them hard. So every time you train, let's say you don't train as much back because you think it's less important, right? So once you do, you're gonna want to hit it more hard. Like, yeah, you gotta hit them hard and make sure you're sore and I'm done working on them. And when wearing clothes, generally these muscle groups get covered and not visible. So like, you wear a shirt, all of a sudden this whole part of the area is just covered, so it's just not even there. Plus the back. And so that's like the main reason, because they're not really, you don't show it, but it's still important to work on them, of course. Like when you take your shirt off, it's gonna be, if you only worked on arms and nothing else, you're probably gonna look weird. Now moving on to diet, many people look for these guys on YouTube, right? Like, because I did it, right? And I always be trying to search up, oh, how do you fix up your diet, or will keto diet work? Actually, I never really tried a keto diet. I just sucked at eating healthy. That's all I had to do, really. And so these people try to implement these diets like keto, and right, they try to do it, right? They look for guys on YouTube, and they try it, and eventually they just get overwhelmed by the sheer number of steps they have to do to keep them on track on their diet. And so what I'm here to tell you is that you really don't have to do all those complicated steps in order to like be on a pretty good diet most of the time. And let's get this point straight, is that you don't have to 100% of the time get your diet on track. Of course, you can eat the whatever your pleasure is in food. So like sugar, maybe it's pizza, maybe it's ice cream, Oreos. I like Oreos. I literally, every time I see it, I can't hold back, bro. And like this, like people overcomplicate it, is what I'm saying. Or like the guys on YouTube are very complicated and normal people can't follow it. And so that's why people just like straight up put that diet on the shelf and leave it for later, and they're gonna figure out later because how difficult it is. So if you're still watching this, think to yourself about this and seriously think, are you ready to commit to this? If yes, follow me until the end of this video. Cracks. Okay, now let's move on to how do we build the muscle and what is muscle made out of. So we build the muscle is by what we eat, because we need to eat. Because we need to eat to build the muscle. So what do we eat? And what is muscle made out of? It's made out of proteins, right? Which means if we make our diet consist mostly of proteins, it doesn't have to be like all of it has to be protein, just mostly, because you also want to get most of the nutrients from the foods. Just mostly protein, so you can start building that muscle easily, alright? And it kind of just like you're in that flow of just eating protein now. So what you guys want to eat is just lean meat, vegetables, so like beans, rice, broccoli, potatoes. Then like for the meats and stuff is like chicken breast, steak, meat, just any type of chicken, It's just meat in general. Nice juicy steak, bro. It's man food. And it tastes good as fuck. And you also want to make make sure you're getting other nutrients as well. So not just protein, but usually you don't have to think, because wherever there is protein, there is like other stuff that your body needs to like recover and stuff. So there's gonna be healthy fats, omega 3s, and etc. Right? You also want to eat in a slight calorie surplus, which basically means eating more than what you usually do on a weekly basis. Always try to focus on building more muscle with little fat gain as possible as well. You can still eat the foods you want, like snacks, or when you eat out, you can still make progress even on a bad diet. And I've definitely proven that. Disgusting. But here's the thing though. Even though you can lose the weight even on a bad diet, you're gonna feel like shit though. So if you eat consistently sugar, right? Even though you're trying to stop, but like you think you could do it in a healthy way, you're still gonna feel like shit. You're gonna feel like sleepy, tired, exhausted. You're gonna feel like giving up more easily. So you actually want to eat the good food, which is obvious, but people, their brains just convince them otherwise. Like, I don't know. And that's what we gotta fix. We can't let our own brains convince us to do the bad thing, even though we know it's bad. We just gotta tell our brain to shut up, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna be strict on ourselves. No sugar, no caffeine, only healthy foods, vegetables, meats, proteins, vitamins, freaking supplements. Only those types of things in our diet. We gotta be strict about that. We can't let these influencers on social media where it'd be like 200 grams of sugar Oreo milkshake. Like, I saw that stuff. I was like, and not gonna lie, when I saw that, I was like, holy shit. And it says protein too. I was like, you could eat sugar with protein. But then, like, I actually did something similar to what those guys did. And right after, my stomach started to hurt. And what I made was like this oatmeal thing. Put some Oreos in it. And like, I did like the normal oatmeal. It was pretty healthy. But then I added like chocolate mix, like those milkshake thingies, like powder. And then I added fruits, which is healthy. But then I added more sugar on top of that, which was like Oreos, artificial sugar, right? And right after I finished that whole thing, down, bro. Like, it really doesn't make you feel good, like genuinely good. Yeah, it's delicious. Actually, I couldn't even eat it. Actually, I didn't even enjoy that oatmeal bowl. It was really disgusting, actually. Yeah, so don't do that. Don't convince yourself to eat sugar. If you really have a craving, yeah, you can eat it, or it's just once. But make sure to consistently eat actual food, bro. Like, God, almost made me throw up. Okay. So now that we know we can make progress, even on like those days where we just binge eat, right? And we could like still eat those foods that we want. Now I'm gonna get into like why or like the science behind it. So let's talk about glucose levels. So I've learned this thing from this channel called Diary of the CEO, and what I've learned is that everyone has these glucose spikes. Literally everyone. This is not just diabetic people. Everybody has glucose spikes, go up and down, right? And the reason why we have such glucose spikes is because we eat the other stuff first. So we eat sugar, we eat proteins, we eat the other like nutrients besides vegetables, fiber. And what we need to do is eat more of the vegetables first. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We always eat vegetables first. Then we could eat the proteins, all the macronutrients, carbs, fats, and not all those. Why? because vegetables have this thing called fiber. And fiber, what it does when you eat it is, once it goes down to the gut, right, it's the fiber like splatters itself across the intestine, like the gut, right? And once you eat another thing, so like let's say you, after eating vegetables, you eat steak. The steak, it will go down way slower than it would if you ate the steak first, and you will naturally lower your glucose levels. And same thing with sugar. Like if you eat vegetables first, as long as you do that, and then you eat like an Oreo or something, the sugar will go down slower into your intestine, thus lowering the glucose levels. It's actually pretty amazing. And it actually, like, it's very significant. You could like lose weight, and you could also pack on lean muscle, which is an like interesting thing I've learned from that video on Diary of CEO. You should probably check them out. They have like a bunch of podcasts about interesting stuff. And also, you want to learn, since you're a beginner, just get a basic understanding of calorie deficit, calorie maintenance, calorie surplus, and macronutrients. And macronutrients is just like protein, carbs, fats, like all those, sugar, right? And once you get those basic understanding of these, and like you could watch these, there's probably videos out there where you could get a good understanding of the macronutrients and all those. And then after you do that, you most likely you'll probably be able to achieve your full body. So here are some quick tips on doing this, like to go about it. So first, you always focus on recovery side of things. Get as much sleep, like more than 10 hours, or try. That's the goal. Then eat actual food, so no processed foods every single day. So like McDonald's, Taco Bell, whatever. But obviously keep in mind that once in a while you can, like, if you have that one day where you're going out and you're just eating stuff, that's okay. It has to be once in a while, so like a while, yeah. And also decent programming. And what I mean by this is just a good workout routine that you can stick to and you could do no matter what. Make it as easy as possible, and you're probably good to go. Let me see. Do I have anything else to say? Oh yeah. Okay, actually, I think that's about it. That's like all that I talk about is the gist. And you could actually get fit with this, because this is what I did. Right? Okay. So, after all this, and you're like, you know what? This is a more philosophical type of thing, but we look back at our past selves, right? And wish we could go back and slap some sense into them and tell them to work harder, commit, or like, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And your future self is like, damn, like he's regretting what he did in the past, right? And what we have to do for our future selves is make sure our future self isn't looking back at us or looking back at you thinking that, right? And make him glad that you put in the work today. And as always, build yourself up. You have no enemies.